Hey campers, George here, back in the man cave. Been looking at some knives I've got. 3 of them. 3 little electricians. Look at that. All from the same company. Let's check them out. So I have these 3 knives. They're all electricians knives. Now, when it comes to a work knife, I think that these are a great work EDC. And you don't have to be an electrician to have one. They're pretty handy. Now, interestingly enough, I never knew this, but over the last couple of months, visiting all these antique places and whatnot, I've gathered some electricians' knives. And I have a couple of favorites that I've already done. But these 3, you see them, are all from the same company. Which company? Well, it depends on how you look at the tang stamp. Basically, they're all the same. And I'll show you each tang stamp on these guys. Here's the first one. And if you look carefully, it says M. Klein and Sons. And there's an F above it. See that? This one says M. Klein and Sons. Okay. And if you look carefully, there's an F above it. And underneath it says Chicago, Illinois, USA. And you can see the handle here. It's a plastic style handle. I forget what they call it. But it has that wood look to it. And it's actually in pretty good shape. To clean this guy up won't take a lot. You know, a quick wash on the blades and a polish and sharpen and you'll be good. And cleaning up all the metal bits. A very quick restore. Well, look here. See this guy? Kind of the same thing, right? Now, if you're not familiar with an electrician's knife, they have this blade. It's basically, I want to say a spear point. Some of them you'll see have a bit of a belly. Most of them don't. They're kind of flat. And it looks like a spear point, pretty close to a drop point. And this one's in pretty good condition. Look at that blade. And then the other blade or tool is this. You see that? And once again, this one's in pretty good condition. And if you look at this, it's kind of has a blade here. It's not very sharp. Has a divot, which allows you to pull this guy out. And then it has a flat screwdriver on it. And you would use this tool for stripping wire. And obviously a screwdriver. Now you go, well, a screwdriver, kind of unsafe, right? Well, if you look carefully, they all have that lock on it. You see that? This brass thing. And what it does when it works is it locks over onto that blade. Now, this one's got a little bit of play in it, but it's locked. You can't close it. And you can use it as a screwdriver. You're going to be pushing down on it, that sort of thing. So it's a safety thing. There is no liner lock or any lock for the blade. They all have that feature. Now, like I said before, the guy before looks kind of the same, right? Look at the handle. It's the same sort of thing, that plastic. They all have a bail. But this one, if you look at the tang stamp, it says HH at the top, and it says Klein Tools, Chicago, USA. See that? A little bit different. Now, I'm not sure, but the HH has to do with when it was made, or the build date, allegedly. I got to look that up. I did some reading up on it, kind of got a little confused to tell you the truth, but I'm going to go back and have a look. This is the knife I like. This guy here, look at that. Now, he's beat up, but it's the same thing. It has that same blade, nice and rusty, and it has the tool right there. Now, on some of the tools, they say push center lock to release. Now, the problem is a lot of the times when you clean this up, you get rid of that. But everybody knows that. But interestingly, on this knife, you've got the blade, which has been used a lot. They've kind of played with the tool. If you look there, they sharpened it. So you've got 2 blades here. See that? And I suspect they try to make a chisel out of this. can see, which, okay, that's what you want to do. It does lock like the other ones. It has, you can see the brass lock there. It's pretty stiff, very little play. So interesting, 3 tools, all from Klein Tools or Klein and Sons, same company. The big difference with this guy, it has the wood handles, which is very cool. They're in pretty good condition, except there's a little chip out of here that we're going to have to fill somehow, and it's pretty rusty and nasty. So a good restore project, this guy, and hopefully we can figure out just how old he is from the tank stamp. So I got these 3 electricians that I want to fix. 2 of them are going to be real quick restores, just a basic cleanup and polish. This guy's going to take a little bit more. We got to get into the well. We got to get rid of a lot of rust. We got to clean up the wood handle and fix that, and then polish, clean, and sharpen. So pretty cool project coming up. And if we have time, I'll show you my other ones, some interesting ones. Let's have at it. Say hello to the boss, Mary. She stopped by to see what I'm up to. Electricians knives go. Look at that. This one's got a wood handle. Smells pretty cool. These ones, I suspect, are a little newer. No, not interested? What do? The bosses. Can't live with him, can't live without him. So I've had the 3rd knife sitting in the evaporist for a couple of hours. We've got these 2 guys here. All they're going to need is a general cleanup and then a polish and sharpen, and they'll be good. So we're going to do that first while that gets soaked in the evaporist, and then we will wipe it down, wash it off, and start on that one. Okay, so we got these 2 little beauties here. Very similar, almost identical. The skins are a little different, not quite the same. And of course they dated differently, and I'm going to look into that a little bit more. I read up on it. What we're going to do is, because they're in pretty good condition, we're just going to hit them with 1,000, 2,000, clean up the handles a little bit, sharpen them, and then we'll give them a nice shine with some mothers. So let's have at it. So here's the first guy. I did notice the tools, the actual tools there, if you look at them, are slightly different. One has the wire stripper in there. This one doesn't. So we'll start on the blades with 1,000. Let's give them a good rub. I need something to brace the knife with. You don't want to put any pressure on the bolsters. And we're off to the races. Just a lot of elbow grease. So here we go. And you'll notice I'm going this way with it. When I'm using a heavier sandpaper and I've got a lot of nicks to get rid of, I don't really worry about which direction. But once you start getting to like the 1,000, 2,000, you want to be consistent. You don't even have to press hard. Got to get into them little corners. And then of course don't forget the spine. You want to clean that up. And here you can see we're starting to get a nice shine on it. You can still see the sand marks on it. It's not as obvious, but now we're going to go to 2,000 and do the same thing again. And here is after the 2,000. Starting to see some nice flat shiny surfaces now, and the mothers will really bring those out. Now I'm going to do the other blade. I'll do the same thing, and then we're going to work on the well, the bolsters, the lock and all that stuff, and get everything nice and shiny. On this one here you can see it's got rust on it on the top along here. So let's work on that rust back to 1000. We'll see how it'll do. If it doesn't work, I'll go to a heavier one. It will be pitted, so there is that. And there's the tool after the 1 in 2000. Cleaned up nice. You can see the pitting here. You can't get rid of it all. You just don't want to take that much metal off. I'm not a big fan of that. And after all, they're working tools. Well, if you want to pay attention to the detail, you have to deal with things like this. The slow scratch. Take some time. Getting that inside wells to shine makes a huge difference. It's a little thing, but hey, it pays off. I want to try something now, and I've got my 2000. I'm going to lightly go over this, but not too much. You can see how it's worn here from just being handled. So all I'm doing is just, I want to get these to shine, but I'm just going to go over everything very softly. Very quick rub like that. Clean off all the dust, and now you've got nice little shiny pins. And you can barely see the change in the handle. And then when we polish and everything, hopefully it'll bring it all out. So that's one done. I'll do the other one. It's basically going to go through the same thing again. These locks are really good. I like them. Normally they're all bent and broken. Very nice. Number 2. This one, not bad. Not a lot of rust, but there's a lot of dings and scratches, but we can hopefully get those taken down. Otherwise, it's in pretty good condition. So here we have them here, both polished and cleaned up. Now they look exactly the same until you start looking really carefully. First of all, the one has the dip in the tool there. This one does not. And if you look at the pins on this one, see the pins there? Look how big they are. Okay. And there's 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. On this one, the pins are smaller. See that? And there's only 2. 1, 2. So interesting. Otherwise, they're pretty much the same thing. They're obviously from different times because of the tank stamp numbers, which I still got to figure out. These ones are ready to be sharpened and shined up. We'll put them aside and start to work on the beast. Okay, so I got him out of the evaporust, and you can see it really eats up that rust. So I'm going to use some Scotch-Brite, just rub it off to get the heavy stuff off. We'll wash it off in warm water, do the usual thing, dry it off, clean it, and be ready to be worked on. So I just use some Scotch-Brite, rub it, and get most of the nasty, heavier stuff off, because it's really loosened up with that rust remover. And I want to get into the the well here and give it a rub. And what I just do is just get a cloth like this, fold it over a couple of times, get my spike, put it in there, and we'll rub it up and down here in the well and see how much we can get out from it. You can see how much comes off. It loosens it up nicely, and then cleaning up is so much easier. Okay, that's a bit better. So now we're going to wash it off with warm water. So here we have it now all washed off, wiped down, and you can see already how much better it looks. Just that quick wipe down and everything. It takes off a lot of the goop. Now, I've been really thinking about the handle here, where that piece is missing there. You see that? I don't think it's a big deal. I think I want to leave it. I'm not going to try and fill it because I doubt if I can match the wood. So just leaving it this way, I think I like to keep these knives original. You know, it is an older knife. It's kind of a vintage. I don't really want to change it. The only things that I'm going to do is clean it up and fix things like, you hear that? It's a little loose in there. And if you look here at the liner, there is a gap on this top one. So we have to get that together. But maybe a little tap will put it together. We'll go through and give it a really good shine up. We're going to have to go through all the steps. Some heavier sandpaper, probably 600, and then 1,000, 2,000, and then we'll go to mothers to polish. When they're old like this, the wood takes on a lot of oil and dirt, and sometimes if you sand it down, it cleans up, it lightens the wood, and it really brings out the grain and everything. But that's for tomorrow morning, because it's really late right now, so I'll see you in the morning. So this is the beast I was talking about. Real wood. Tang stamp is different. This one says Klein and Sons. And this one, if you look carefully, has 1, 2, 3, 4 pins in it. Probably more to do with the wood, holding the wood there. There is a pin missing there. We'll have to fake one on there. So we'll start making them shiny. Okay, so here's the blade here. You can see there's a lot of cleanup to do on it and on the tool. It looks shiny because I oiled the bolster here because I just washed it. I don't want it rusting on me. And we got a lot to take off, so I'm lazy now. My arms are tired. I'm going to use my Dremel. After all, that's why I bought them. We'll get most of the heavy stuff off, and then we're back to sanding again. Oh, safety first. Glasses is a must. I changed the wheel to a heavier grit. It was not really taking it off. Okay, we got most of the heavy stuff off. Quickly went over it, and then I remembered I still got to tap in these to get the pins together, to get that gap away, especially here in the front. Okay, so I got rid of the gap along here. For some reason, I can't get rid of this gap. And looking at it, it almost looks like, and I don't know if you can see that, the tang of the blade is a little wider than the actual spring.
And I think that's why. There's going to be nothing I can do about that unless I'm going to take it apart and grind down. And I don't want to do that. So it's off to the races again. Let's see how much we can improve this. There is a lot of pitting on here. So here we are to the 1 in 2000 grit. It's a lot shinier, but there is a lot of pitting, which, you know, you can't really get rid of, but at least you have a nice shiny surface. And then sharpen it and it'll be good. So now we've got to do the rest. So here we are now with it. It's better than it was, but with all that pitting, it's really tough. But it cleaned up nicely though, better than I thought it would. And I just put that fake pin in there just to finish it off. And now all that's left is a polish and then try and enhance this a little bit more and then sharpen them and we should be good. Sharp enough for an electrician. Ha ha ha! Number 2. Huh, that'll work. Number 3, the beater. Ha. Oh yeah. Nice. Any electrician's dream. Now that they're sharp, I'm just going to polish them quickly using Mothers and my Dremel again. So here you see it here, and you can see why I like Mothers. It does an awesome job. So that's one down, and I'll get the other ones down. Just gotta get my fingerprints off. And you can really see it. It does a wonderful job. So this guy now will be next. And of course the banger. So there you go, campers. 3 electricians. They got this guy. Let me open them all up for you so I can show them. So here are these 2. You can see how they cleaned up great. They were in really good condition. And this is the one that says F on top of it. And it says M. Klein & Sons, Chicago, USA. So looking up information here, they say Klein Tools started using the letter I in 1972, which was the first letter they used. So 72 and I, okay, is where they started. And then J, K, L, M. This one says F on it. I don't know if you can see that. F, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. But they said they started with the letter I in 72. Confusing. I'm just going to say this guy with the letter F pre-72, 1972. When I read more about it, the plot thickens. They also say that in 1997, they omitted the letter Q and we skipped to the letter R, then made another mistake in 1997 by using both letters I and J for that year. Even more confusing. The double H is another story. Let me look at that. So this one here has HH on it. The plot thickens. Klein Tools says they've never made a knife where they've tang stamped it with a double letter. Then they say, however, if you have one, then it was probably a contract from another company making them for Klein. You see where I'm going here? It's really complicated. And then we got the old guy here. See that? With the wood handle and everything. Was pretty beat up, but we got him to kind of sort of shine fairly good. Came out better than I thought it would. I didn't think we'd get that far with it. And of course I fudged the pin. I just found a brass rod, the smallest one I had, filed it, ground it down so that it fit the hole and glued it in there just to make it complete. If you don't tell anybody, I won't. So there you go. And this one is different. These ones here, they said M. Klein and Sons, but it doesn't have anything above the name that says Klein Tools on it. And they saying that because of the double letter was made by somebody else. I'm confused. It's a rabbit hole. The only thing on this old guy we can be sure about is because it doesn't have any letter above the name, and this was one that says M. Klein and Sons, it's pre-72. So we know where this is. Other than that, things are straightforward. Interesting to look up and find out about. They've been around for a long time. If you are just reading up on the information here, since 1857, like 3 years before I was born. Matthias Klein and his descendants. So they've been around a while, and they were really well known for their tools. Things like electricians' knives and that, they made themselves or contracted them out. But a lot of people used Klein tools and still do today. So pretty cool. And while we have the electricians' knives out, I wanted to show you my two favorites I have. This is one here. You see this guy? Very cool. It's almost Barlow-ish. And you can see the in pretty good shape right there. Look at that. It's got that beautiful white handle. It is an advertising thing, and this is for Local Union 2102 USWA Pueblo, Colorado, Retired Members Banquet, 1977. So there you go. Very cool. This was a gift to me from Mike, LA Mike. If you remember, you may have seen it. I went fishing. I was up I was down in California visiting my kids, and Mike said, "You come down, we can go fish, surf." So that's what we did. And while we were there, he said, "I have a knife for you," and was this guy. I made a sheath for it, a little bit unusual. The neck carry really worked out pretty cool with something different. Wanted to try something new. This guy here is my favorite. Simply sentimental. You know me when it comes to older knives, the vintage or old knives. Camelus, to me, make the best ones. And yep, here's a Camelus electrician's knife. First one I ever came across. You can see it there. Let me get it there. Camelus, New York. Very nice. Pretty good condition. Look at that. And the handles were different. Really unusual. If you look at it, I don't know. I suppose it is a resin, just an odd color. It was just very nice. And I was back in the day still making barrel sheets. I still do for my knives. And this was one of the first barrel sheets that I really put some effort into it to see if I could get it right. It actually works out pretty good. They do fit that. So there you go. My electrician's knives. That's not all of them. I know I have some other floating around elsewhere, but these two were my favorites. And I got to say, I kind of like these guys. I like the wood handle. I love that. And it, as beat up as it was, it cleaned up really well. These guys were in good condition. You can't beat an electrician's knife for a work EDC. I can't say that enough. They are made sturdy. You know, at work, generally, you can get away with just a flat screwdriver and a solid blade. You all be safe out there, especially when you're at work. It's not just safe at work, it's safe everywhere. And when you're at work and you're using tools, pay attention. Always be safe. Know what you're doing and what's around you. Just saying. And don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Pretty sure I'll be back. Had these for a while. I've got knives sitting here, 2 or 3 knives all together that were either made by the same people or the same style, or they have something in common. And I want to work on all 3 in one project. We have Faribault Electricians knives. It grows. And you know what? They're all Kleins, so they now get their own box. And by the way, this is where I store them. I found these boxes on Amazon. They're the good size for folding knives because they fit in there really well. And you can put a lot in there. And if you want, you can line it, put some cloth or even a paper towel or something in there. And, don't forget, if you're in a humid location, you want to get those moisture sucker-upper things. I don't know what they're called, those little bags that people try and eat. Even if you put them in the sheath in these boxes, they fit pretty cool. And I got these on Amazon. They're really inexpensive. You buy like 10 at a time or something, and they work. I have a whole bunch of them. And I just put a label on so I know which tools are which. Thanks for watching. Always appreciated. We'll see you again soon.